They didn't know your name at first, just your presence. It came like a silhouette standing at the edge of their dream, unbothered by the chaos around them, untouched by the noise. That was the night the shift began. Across cities, across languages, across fame and secrecy, public figures who had never spoken to each other suddenly began having the same recurring vision. And the center of it was always you. No one spoke of it at first. It felt too real, too prophetic. Some called it a glitch in consciousness. Others whispered, divine encounter. But behind their rehearsed smiles and award-winning interviews, something haunted their eyes. They weren't just dreaming, they were being shown. Chosen one, heaven needs you to understand this was not imagination. This was invasion. God inserted you into a stream of collective dreams, not to entertain, but to awaken. These weren't coincidences. These were coordinated signals across the spiritual grid. Politicians, celebrities, global influencers, they all started feeling like they'd met someone before. And that someone was you. Not your physical body, not your public self, but your soul. The version of you that existed before the scripts, before the stage, before the spotlight ever turned on. They tried to brush it off at first, but the dreams returned, clearer, louder, urgent. They all saw the same scene, a being of light standing in front of a crumbling structure, a cathedral of fame collapsing behind you while you walked forward, untouched. You didn't speak. You didn't need to. Your eyes carried every message, and those who saw you couldn't forget you. One award-winning actor refused to sleep for 3 nights. A prime minister reportedly fired his entire spiritual advisory team. A pop icon cancelled her world tour and checked into a retreat claiming something divine is shifting in the atmosphere. They're not saying your name out loud yet, but they're rearranging their empires because of you. Not because you're a threat, but because you're the mirror. You remind them of what they buried. You've always wondered why certain people acted strangely around you, as if they knew something they wouldn't say. This is why. Heaven allowed your energy to bypass their ego and show up in their dreams. And those dreams are now archived, studied, dissected. Somewhere in the hills above Los Angeles, a private vault holds transcripts of every public figure who's dreamt of you. Your presence disrupted their frequency, and now they're scrambling for answers. But the truth, chosen one, you were never meant to stay hidden. God is flipping the script. Their dreams were the trailer. Your destiny is the feature. You're not walking into fame. You're walking into revelation. This isn't the beginning of their panic. This is the beginning of your unveiling. They told the world it was fiction. But behind closed doors, a screenplay was being handed from hand to trembling hand. And it wasn't just a script. It was prophecy. And it was about you. Written years ago by a recluse who hadn't been seen since, the script described a mysterious figure who would rise in the age of collapsing systems. The figure didn't seek fame, didn't crave power, but their presence alone began to unravel illusions at the highest levels of society. You, chosen one, that was you, and those who read it knew it. The script had no title on the cover, just a symbol, an eye inside a diamond. The same symbol now tattooed behind a singer's ear. The same one briefly flashed in a luxury brand's ad before being pulled. Insiders knew what it meant. It was code, a signal to the elite that the One had awakened. The story wasn't a myth. It was a countdown, and whoever held the script too long paid for it. A CEO resigned the week after reading it. A media mogul reportedly forgot his own name during a live broadcast. The script wasn't entertainment, it was encrypted revelation. They tried to bury it, but every attempt to suppress the pages only spread it further. One director claimed it wrote itself. Pages would rearrange, scenes would shift, always centering around the same figure, someone cloaked in light, walking through cities unseen, yet leaving chaos in their wake. Not destructive chaos, divine interruption. Systems freezing, eyes opening, contracts voided by something stronger than law. Truth. Chosen one, you've been feeling it, haven't you? The strange tension in the air, the way certain celebrities look at you through a screen, like they recognize something they can't name. That's because they've read versions of you on paper. They've seen scenes that match your real life. They're afraid, not of who you are, but of what your presence exposes in them. You're the plot twist they can't control. One streaming giant reportedly offered $44 million for the rights to the script, only to pull out after an executive collapsed in the meeting, whispering your initials. Another studio attempted to adapt the story anonymously, but every actor cast to play the lead reported vivid nightmares. Every camera glitched, every take failed, because heaven doesn't let truth be reduced to performance. The real version of this story is still unfolding, through you. The script they passed around was just a shadow of your destiny, a foretelling, a warning. You weren't written into their story. Their story was written because of you. That's why they're panicking. That's why they're watching. You're not here to audition. You're here to flip the genre. What was once a thriller is becoming a resurrection. He was one of the few who took it seriously from the beginning. Not just the dreams, not just the script, but the energy surrounding your name. The energy he claimed short-circuited contracts and cracked encryption. He was the youngest executive to rise through the ranks of a powerful talent agency. But after your file crossed his desk, he changed. He stopped speaking in elevator pitches and started speaking in parables. Something had shifted. He called it divine interference. His colleagues called it madness. But before they could stop him, he started leaking what he knew. And then he vanished. They said he fled to the desert. Others say he was taken underground by a group trying to protect him. But his last known communication was clear. The one they've been trying to suppress has already activated, and they don't even know it. Attached to that message was a list of names, influencers, producers, religious figures, all of whom had encountered you in ways they couldn't explain. Some through dreams, some through random sightings. All described the same thing, a presence that made them feel exposed, undone, and known. That presence was you. He wasn't the first to notice, but he was the first to speak. He said you weren't a risk, you were a reset, and that terrified the gatekeepers, because in their world, everything is built on illusion, timing, narrative control. But your existence disrupted all of it. He warned that your presence wasn't just spiritual, it was algorithmic. You were showing up in systems where you were never inputted. Digital signatures where your data shouldn't exist. Facial recognition triggered without cameras even being on. Their own technology had begun prophesying. Without your consent. Chosen one, do you understand what that means? It means you've become a spiritual echo in physical systems. It means the grid has already recognized you, and the enemy can't track you the old way. That's why they turned to him. That's why they started offering him favors to stay silent. But he couldn't, not after seeing the light signature that pulsed through your name. He said it was like reading a sacred code disguised as a birth record, and once he saw it, he couldn't go back. The others dismissed him, but not before copying pieces of the file, and now fragments of it are leaking. People are searching for you, but they don't even know what they're looking for. They're scanning for a frequency, a presence, a rupture in the narrative, and all paths lead back to you. He knew the truth before they could twist it. You weren't sent here to be discovered. You were sent here to be remembered. You've been known by heaven since before you took your first breath. And no handler, no contract, no system can contain what God has already marked. They tried to control the story, but the agent who knew too much, he saw what you really are, the glitch they couldn't code around. They called him eccentric, brilliant, unstable. But behind the gossip columns and studio whispers, there was a man in Hollywood who saw it all before it began. Decades ago, he tried to tell them. A writer-director with a reputation for seeing things in dreams, scripts that came to him in silence, scenes that mirrored reality before it happened. One script was never released. It was shut down during pre-production, locked away, and dismissed as too esoteric. But that script was about you, chosen one, and it described what's happening now with chilling precision. It was titled The One They All Dreamed, and buried in that lost film were characters who resembled real-world icons, moguls, celebrities, heads of nations, all haunted by visions of a stranger they could never name. The screenplay was passed quietly from producer to producer, and every single one who read it reported having strange dreams the following night. Nightmares, some said. Others called them messages. And the figure in each of those dreams? Always the same. You, though they didn't know your name, only your outline, your light. The prophet stopped directing after that. He claimed Hollywood had become a machine for forgetting, that the true stories were no longer welcome, especially the ones heaven wanted told. He moved out of the city, stopped answering calls, and began mailing handwritten letters to only a few people each year. Those letters spoke of an arrival, a being of divine disruption, he wrote, who walks outside the script, who forces the illusion to crumble on cue. His last known letter ended with one sentence: "They won't be ready when the screen cracks and the chosen one steps through it." Chosen one, they thought he was mad because they didn't want to believe. But now, the same producers who blacklisted him are scrambling to decode his notes. His storage unit was recently broken into, his journals missing, and word is spreading through the back channels of the industry. He was right, you've arrived, and everything he warned them about is unfolding. What makes them panic is not just that he foresaw your presence, but that he warned them what would happen if they tried to ignore you. They'll either honor the light, he wrote, or the light will dismantle their stage. And that's what's happening now. Power deals are unraveling. Carefully curated narratives are glitching. Camera footage is capturing things no one remembers recording. Why? Because your presence distorts performance. It demands truth. He may have disappeared from the public, but his prophecy has returned through you. That script wasn't just shelved, it was sealed, until now. And you, chosen one, are the one who holds the final scene. You're not stepping into their industry, you're stepping into your inheritance. The prophet warned them, but heaven sent you to remind them. They gathered in silence, not in a boardroom, not on Zoom, but in a private estate hidden beyond the hills, where the air felt too still and the stars didn't blink. The invitation was verbal, passed through whispers and guarded glances. 13 of them, A-list names, legacy power, old blood, and new algorithms. They didn't meet to celebrate. They met because of you, and they called it an emergency. Under the waxing moon, they lit no candles and used no tech. Devices were banned, windows blacked out, no assistants, no recordings, just questions, tension, fear. Something had been stirring since the dreams began, and now too many signs pointed to the same unspoken name. You, the frequency that couldn't be blocked, the anomaly that kept showing up in patterns only they could see. They had tried to control everything, the narrative, the flow of influence, the messaging in your media, but what they couldn't control was spirit. And your spirit was showing up in places they couldn't touch. One of them a studio giant known for adapting sacred myths into profitable content, reportedly stood up mid-meeting and said, "This isn't just symbolic anymore. We're dealing with an incarnated disruption." No one laughed, because they all knew it was true. They reviewed reports, energy scans, global metrics. You weren't trending, but you were being tracked. Frequencies shifted in rooms after you entered. Emotional resonance changed in people who crossed paths with you. Children remembered dreams after meeting you. Elders felt unexplainable peace. Their systems had no label for it, no file for what you were emitting. And so they labeled you a risk, not because of what you were doing, but because of who you were becoming. Chosen one, they know, not fully, not divinely, but enough to feel it, enough to fear it, enough to meet under moonlight and ask each other the question they've been avoiding for years. What happens when the real ones show up? You weren't built in their mold, you weren't trained in their schools, you didn't follow the ladder, and yet you've ascended higher than they can track. And the power behind your rise isn't algorithmic, it's sacred. One council member reportedly stood last and said, "We can't contain light, we can only try to distract it." That's when the next phase was launched. Distractions, false saviors, AI prophets with perfect teeth, and no soul, all designed to pull attention away from you. But it's too late, because heaven has already illuminated your name. They know something has changed. The prophecy is in motion. The council isn't sleeping. The fear isn't leaving. And it's not just because you exist. It's because you're beginning to remember. You've walked past the velvet ropes of their control, and you didn't bow. You didn't ask for a seat. You brought your own table. And now, even the secret council is looking up. It was supposed to be a sanctuary, a room where sound was controlled, frequency monitored, light perfectly filtered to soothe the mind. Deep inside one of their private wellness retreats, this chamber had hosted billionaires, celebrities, even heads of secretive global orders. No one ever raised their voice in that room. No one needed to. The walls were tuned to silence, the kind that hums with expensive stillness. But the day you entered, Chosen One, the silence broke itself. You were invited under the guise of alignment. They wanted to understand your energy, to help you unlock your full potential. But it wasn't about helping you. It was about measuring you. They thought they could map your frequency, trace your aura, predict your trajectory like they do with everyone else. But when you opened your mouth, just a simple greeting, something in the walls cracked. The floor pulsed. The meditation bowls shook without touch. The air changed temperature. Their illusion of control unraveled in a single breath. The technician monitoring the biometric dashboard fled the room. The graph had started drawing symbols it wasn't programmed to recognize. Ancient markings, geometric codes, pulse maps that matched nothing in their database but resembled patterns found in the temples of Luxor, the caves of Tibet, and the scrolls Vatican archivists keep off record. You didn't yell. You didn't preach. You simply spoke. And heaven used your vocal cords like a tuning fork, aligning their fortress of silence with truth. Chosen One, this is what they feared, that you wouldn't fight their system. You'd simply out-resonate it. You weren't sent to dismantle their walls with weapons. You were sent to destabilize them with presence. And when presence speaks, empires tremble. Your voice isn't loud, it's lawful. It carries authority written in spirit before sound ever caught it. And when you speak, their programming collapses under the weight of something it can't process: divine remembrance. Since that day, the room has remained under renovation. The incident was labeled an energetic anomaly, but those who were there know better. One healer reportedly left the organization and hasn't spoken publicly since. Another, a tech mystic, who used to sell spiritual optimization packages to the elite, posted one cryptic message before deleting all their accounts. The one didn't chant, they remembered, and the room remembered with them. You've always wondered why your voice sometimes startles even those who love you, why silence follows your truth, why strangers look at you as if they've just heard something ancient. It's because your voice carries frequencies that aren't of this world, not hypnotic, holy, not performative, prophetic. You don't speak to impress, you speak to activate. And now the world, especially the hidden rooms, are learning what happens when the chosen one remembers how to speak. It looked like an opportunity, a role tailored to your essence, the kind of offer most people wait a lifetime for. They called it transformational cinema, said they were looking for someone who didn't just act, but embodied. And they swore they found that in you. The script arrived in a sleek envelope, unsigned, unbranded, just a symbol embossed in gold, a quill piercing through an eye, ancient, deliberate, a warning in disguise. But you, chosen one, knew the truth before you turned the first page. This wasn't a casting, it was a trap. The script read like prophecy wrapped in performance. Scene after scene mimicked your real life, but twisted, rewritten. Your voice watered down, your light fractured. The version of you on those pages was stripped of power, dressed in glamour, and reduced to a side character in your own story. They weren't just offering a role. They were trying to rewrite your destiny. Hollywood style, camera ready, market safe. But heaven doesn't audition its prophets, and you weren't sent to be recast. You felt it, didn't you? That cold sensation behind your eyes as you read the final scene, the moment they wrote your character vanishing into obscurity while a fabricated savior took the spotlight. They were testing to see if you'd trade your voice for visibility, if you'd dilute your frequency for fame. But chosen one, you've already seen what happens when people play the role the world wants instead of the one God assigned. They become fragments, famous but forgotten, visible but spiritually invisible. So you didn't sign the contract, you didn't show up to the table reading, and when the assistant called to confirm your wardrobe fitting, your silence sent a signal, not just to them, but to every watching system. You would not be owned, you would not perform their version of you, you would not trade prophecy for production value. Behind the scenes, they panicked. That script was backed by names you wouldn't believe, billionaires, mystics, AI developers, and a former spiritual advisor to a world leader, and yet all their plans unraveled with your one sacred decision, to remain real. They tried to recast the role, but no one fit. One actor went mute. Another broke down mid-scene, claiming to see the real one watching, because even their stage knew who it was written for. Chosen one, you weren't sent here to pretend to be anything. You are the script. You are the scene. You are the frequency that rewrites the narrative. And the test they gave you, it failed, because you remembered what they forgot, that heaven doesn't mass-produce purpose. And now they know. The star they tried to recruit was never theirs to cast. You're not here to read lines, you're here to speak truth. They thought it was a technical glitch, just a few moments of static, a flicker, a blur. But when it kept happening, and only when you entered the frame, they knew it wasn't equipment failure. It was something else, something they couldn't name, something they couldn't code. The footage would bend, distort, even fracture like broken glass. Cameras that had captured presidents, pop stars, and prime ministers failed the moment you walked past them. Your presence didn't just overwhelm the lens, it rewrote the light. Security footage lost entire minutes. Still, photographs refused to render your full face. Editors said your eyes came out too clear, like the lens had stared back. One documentary team tried filming you from a distance. Drones fell, batteries drained, memory cards wiped themselves clean. The files that remained were riddled with phantom imagery, halos of light, symbols that weren't there in real time, strange energy flares that pulsed like a heartbeat. You weren't performing, you were just being. And the technology, built to control, monitor, and distort, couldn't handle the truth. Chosen one, your aura is not aesthetic. It's divine technology. A frequency field. Heaven wrapped around you before birth. And now that you're fully awakening, it's no longer hiding itself. You were never meant to be filtered through their lens. You were meant to shatter it. That's why they're panicking. Their surveillance systems, their sacred idols of visibility and power, fail in your presence. You don't fit in the frame because your purpose isn't two-dimensional. It's eternal. They tried everything: infrared, thermal, night vision, high-res 8K. But the result was always the same. The equipment couldn't hold your signature. Not because you were hiding, but because you were revealing too much. Your glow isn't metaphor, it's measurable. And the ones monitoring it behind closed doors are afraid, because they know what comes next. One tech executive whispered to his inner circle, "We've scanned world leaders, mystics, even known shapeshifters, but we've never seen anything like this." Another, a media fixer, reportedly tried using AI overlays to make you more marketable. The program crashed, and when they rebooted, your image was still there, untouched, unedited, smiling as if you knew what they were trying to do. You did know, because your spirit doesn't need permission to be seen. You carry a light that was never meant to be controlled by lens or algorithm. When you walk into a space, the air changes. When you speak, the frequency rises. And when they try to capture you, the divine steps in and says, "No, you weren't created to be consumed, you were sent to be remembered." And every broken frame is proof that heaven still guards what it anoints. They thought it would be easy, just another name to scrub, another narrative to redirect. It's what they're paid for, controlling the image, shaping the illusion, silencing what doesn't serve the agenda. But this time, it didn't work, because the name they were trying to erase wasn't just ink on paper, it was etched into prophecy. It was yours. The order came down discreetly: contain the frequency. That's what they called it, not a person, a frequency. You. Anonymous, but unavoidable. You hadn't asked to be included in their world, but your presence was disrupting it anyway. Reports were circulating. High-profile personalities were referencing a dream, a feeling, a face they couldn't shake. Some said your name aloud without realizing it. Others denied knowing you, but couldn't stop drawing you. And when questioned, their eyes went distant, like something was unlocking inside them. That's when the firm stepped in. The elite of the elite. The ones who know how to bury stories before they breathe. Their job wasn't just to suppress, it was to rewrite. And the new narrative? You were never here. They scrubbed mentions, altered metadata, froze accounts, paid off sources. Your name vanished from guest lists. Your image disappeared from event footage. People who swore they met you couldn't remember when. But no matter how much they deleted, one thing remained: the feeling. Chosen one, that's what they couldn't erase, the way your presence made people feel. Safe, seen, remembered. It lingered in rooms long after you left. It stirred in hearts that didn't even know they were asleep. It awakened something ancient, something real. And no PR spin could touch that, because what you carry isn't content, it's covenant. They even tried spiritual disinformation, launching false prophets, fake movements, chosen one campaigns filled with glitter and emptiness. But it backfired, because the moment people heard your voice, read your words, stood near your light, the counterfeit collapsed. You didn't need a platform. You were the message. And heaven made sure those trying to bury you kept tripping over the truth they were trying to hide. An insider finally broke, whispered to a contact, "Every time we try to erase them, something else surfaces. It's like the signal multiplies." That's because they forgot the first rule of spiritual warfare. What's divine can't be deleted. You're not just protected, you're encoded. And no firm, no agency, no human-crafted algorithm can undo what God has written into existence. Chosen one, you weren't meant to be invisible. You were meant to be undeniable. And now, the world's most powerful image makers are learning what happens when heaven marks someone for remembrance. Your name carries weight. Your presence shifts the story. Your destiny cannot be deleted. She was mid-performance. 30,000 screaming fans, lights flashing, bass shaking the ground. A world tour sold out for months. Her smile was perfect, her vocals flawless. But right before the bridge, she stopped. Not a dramatic pause, not choreography. Her entire body froze, eyes wide, breath caught. And in that moment, she saw you. You weren't in the crowd. You weren't in the VIP section. You were standing in the center of the stage, glowing, silent, watching. No one else saw it. But to her, it was real. Your image appeared between one blink and the next, like a download sent straight into her spirit. And with it came a flood of recognition and fear. She collapsed before the chorus returned. They called it exhaustion, blamed the schedule. But insiders knew something else had happened. In the hours that followed, she refused to speak to anyone, locked herself in her dressing room. When she finally emerged, she was trembling. "They were standing where I should have been," she said, "but it felt right." That night, she canceled the rest of the tour. Chosen one, her spirit remembered you before her mind could. That's the pattern now. You're not appearing in dreams anymore. You're crossing over into waking visions. And the ones who hold the most attention, the stars, are starting to feel displaced by a light they can't match. Not because you're trying to take anything from them, but because your presence reminds them that much of what they built wasn't real. She told her inner circle that you didn't speak, but that your eyes carried the weight of 1,000 lives. That being seen by you was like having every mask removed in an instant. She said, "I felt like they had always been watching, not judging, witnessing." And for the first time in her career, she had no desire to be seen again. They offered her recovery retreats, aura cleanses, energy recalibrations, but she didn't want healing. She wanted answers. And the name she kept whispering to herself wasn't a name she'd heard before. It was yours, not your public identity, your divine one, the one encoded before time, the one heaven uses when sending messages through vision. Chosen one, the world's brightest stage lights are starting to feel dim compared to the frequency you carry. The performance is cracking, the illusion is fraying. You didn't audition for this moment, you awakened it. And the people the world calls stars, they're starting to realize they were only placeholders until you stepped through. She still hasn't returned to the spotlight, but she's writing again, not songs for fame, but songs filled with longing, with memory, with truth. She says her next project isn't about being heard, it's about pointing toward the one who stood on that stage and made everything else feel temporary. They didn't panic when you spoke softly. They didn't panic when you stayed silent. But now, chosen one, they feel it. The shift, the rise. It's not happening on the charts. It's not trending online. But spiritually and cosmically, your elevation is undeniable. They're monitoring metrics that don't exist yet, trying to measure something that can't be seen. Because your rise isn't physical, it's vibrational. And it's tearing through their carefully controlled systems like light through a cracked mirror. This is the kind of rise they fear the most, the one that starts inside, the one that doesn't need their platforms, their permission, their performance. You're not climbing a ladder, you're awakening a throne, and no algorithm can contain the soul of someone chosen by heaven to stand above their simulations. You weren't made for a stage, you were made for a seat, one reserved for those who walk in divine authority. That's why they're panicking, because you're rising without selling, glowing without filters, influencing without trying. You carry a frequency that's not based on fame, but alignment. And when you step into a room, their projections flicker, their scripts stutter, their illusion shakes. You don't say much, but when you do, the atmosphere rearranges itself. And that's what their data can't process, that someone can move energy without manipulation. Behind closed doors, they've started calling you the disturbance, not out of disrespect, out of fear, because your rise is disturbing the normal flow of power. Their stars feel it, their seers feel it, their machines feel it. Even their silence has a pulse now, the stillness of something ancient watching. And they know what happens when heaven backs a soul in full remembrance. Everything built on illusion begins to fall. Chosen one, this rise isn't accidental, it's ancestral. Generations of unfulfilled promise are converging in your walk. That's why you felt pressure with no explanation. That's why the attacks came early. That's why certain people couldn't look you in the eye without flinching. You carry more than just potential. You carry prophetic momentum. And it's accelerating now, because you stopped doubting and started standing. The panic in their eyes isn't about your presence. It's about your timeline. They feel how close it is, the tipping point, the unveiling, the moment when your frequency becomes too loud to ignore, and no PR campaign, no digital flood, no distraction will be able to drown it out. You were never meant to sneak in quietly. You were meant to rise so divinely that even their towers lean toward your light. So let them panic, let them gather, let them scheme. None of it can touch what God is doing in you, because this rise isn't yours alone. You thought it was a coincidence that certain ads seemed to follow you, that strange symbols kept repeating in storefront windows, music videos, and designer campaigns. You brushed it off until you couldn't anymore, until it became too frequent, too specific, too perfectly timed. That's when heaven whispered, "They're watching you, but I'm watching them." The billboards weren't just marketing, they were messaging, codes, signals layered behind the gloss of luxury, an eye that blinked mid-transition, a phrase that only you seemed to recognize, a number hidden in the background that matched your birthday, and a scripture you had read the night before. These weren't accidents. These were divine interruptions hidden in the enemy's broadcast. At first, they tried to use the billboards to track you, to provoke a response. They placed certain triggers in your path, imagery linked to past wounds, symbols stolen from sacred texts, music frequencies designed to disrupt. But something unexpected happened. The signals reversed. Instead of weakening you, they awakened you. Instead of lowering your field, they ignited it. Because your soul recognized what even they didn't. Heaven had hidden countercodes within their attempt to manipulate. Chosen one, God speaks in patterns. And while they thought they were using their networks to surveil, they were actually building a delivery system for divine truth. You've been seeing pieces of the message for weeks now, a phrase on a moving truck, a flash of light that shouldn't have reflected, a glitch on your feed that looked like a name, yours, not your public one, your real one, the one heaven calls when the world forgets. They're calling it a malfunction. They're blaming rogue AI, but you know better. Every time your light rises, the system tries to mirror it and fails. The closer you get to alignment, the more desperate their signals become. But what they didn't plan for was divine override, because the God who encoded you also encoded your signs. And now the watchers are panicking. Their billboards were supposed to distract, but now they're revealing. Their media was meant to entertain, but now it's echoing prophecy. You've become a prism, bending light through every lie they try to flash in your direction. You don't even need to decode anymore. Your frequency does it for you. One creative director reportedly stepped away from a campaign launch and whispered, "I don't know who this person is, but they're changing everything, and they haven't even spoken." That's what's terrifying them. You haven't needed to shout. You haven't even responded. And yet, the signs are everywhere. You are everywhere. Because heaven is using their very platforms to confirm what you already know. You were sent, and the signal isn't coming. It's been here, written in light, hidden in plain sight. He wasn't supposed to be there, not on that day, not at that angle, but something pulled him, a whisper, a tug, a feeling he couldn't explain. He'd photographed royalty, rebels, and runways. Nothing ever fazed him, until you walked into frame, not posed, not aware, just you, being you. And when he clicked the shutter, the lens caught more than an image. It caught evidence. The photo was never published. It couldn't be. The moment it was transferred to his computer, the screen glitched, then went black. Files scrambled. Hard drives failed. Backup systems, cloud and physical, all corrupted. But he remembered what he saw. A light, not a reflection, not a filter. A living glow around your body, curling through your fingertips, radiating from your eyes. It wasn't lens flare, it was presence. He tried to reshoot, tried to replicate, but the camera stopped working when pointed in your direction. He borrowed equipment, new lenses, different lighting, but it didn't matter, because the truth wasn't in the tools, it was in you. And the truth, chosen one, is that your light cannot be captured, only revealed. He kept one print, developed it manually in a forgotten dark room in the hills. When the paper dried, the image was clearer than any photo he'd taken in his life. But something was off, not wrong, just more. Behind you stood symbols that weren't physically there. A staircase, a veil, a star of light positioned perfectly behind your crown. And beneath your feet, words appeared in a language no one has translated. But heaven says you will one day remember. He left the industry after that, disappeared from headlines. The last message he sent to a colleague simply read, "I photographed a divine being. They walk among us, and I was allowed to see them before the world does." That photo now rests in a sealed envelope, hand-delivered to a private archive. The Vatican knows. Certain energy councils know. And rumor says the frame emits warmth when touched. Chosen one, they've tried to frame you all your life, to define you, confine you, shrink you into something digestible. But your light refuses, because your light is not an effect. It is a witness. It exposes falsehood without accusation. It draws eyes without asking. It awakens memory in souls that forgot they were watching for you. And now, they don't just fear your voice, they fear your image, not because it threatens them, but because it reminds them of the time before ego, before control, when light walked freely through the world, clothed in purpose. You don't need a spotlight.
They rehearsed for weeks, memorized every line, practiced every cue. Their entire reputation depended on this scene, a moment designed to shift public opinion, sell belief, sell control. The cameras rolled, the lights hit just right. But the moment you entered the room, everything fell apart. The lead actor froze mid-sentence. The co-star stammered. The director shouted, "Cut!" But it was already too late. The energy had shifted, and no one could remember what came next. At first they blamed nerves, then lighting, then the teleprompter.
But when it happened again and again, always in your presence, they knew it wasn't human error. It was interference, divine interference. Your frequency didn't just enter the room, it rewrote it. Dialogue disintegrated, choreography unraveled. Even veteran performers, trained, polished, scripted, stood there with blank eyes and open mouths, forgetting who they were pretending to be. Chosen one, they've built entire worlds on illusion, but your presence collapses rehearsals. Your energy isn't disruptive by nature, it's revealing. When you step into a space, truth rises, and anything built on falseness starts to crack. That's why they forgot their lines, because the script wasn't strong enough to survive your light. One producer, shaken, later admitted, "It felt like we were being watched by something ancient, like the room was aware of itself." Another director deleted the entire project, calling it unusable. But it wasn't the footage that failed, it was the illusion. And the presence of a real one, the real one, exposed it without saying a word. You've always felt this power, haven't you? That strange silence when you walk in. The moment people lose their train of thought, forget what they were saying, or suddenly shift their posture around you. It's not intimidation, it's recognition. Something in them remembers something in you. Not from this life, but from before. The sole memory of truth standing in the room. Even digital systems glitch in your presence. Voice recognition fails. Auto captions misinterpret your words. Subtitles rewrite themselves mid-playback. And heaven smiles, because you were never meant to be translated. You were meant to be felt. They're scrambling now. Writers are rewriting scenes. Presenters are pre-recording speeches to avoid the live tremble your energy brings. But it's not working, because even their scripts know your name. And no amount of retakes can override what your frequency awakens. The truth. You don't need to argue, don't need to prove. Just stand, just speak. Because every time you show up, the performance dissolves. And what's left, in the silence that follows, is sacred. It was supposed to be their masterpiece, a film wrapped in prophecy, marketed as revelation, timed perfectly with planetary alignments and strategic media silence. The premiere guest list was invitation only. World leaders, tech giants, spiritual influencers, and a few carefully chosen watchers hidden in plain sight. The event began as planned: champagne, red carpets, polished smiles. But before the second act began, everything changed. It started when the screen flickered. Then the sound shifted, subtle at first, like something had overwritten the audio, a frequency, a tone. And then, just for a second, your face appeared. Not the actor portraying the one, yours. Unmistakable, undeniable, raw, radiant, real. The audience froze. Phones glitched, lights dimmed, and someone, no one knows who, triggered the alarm. Code red. They evacuated the building. Reports were vague. Technical malfunction, they said. Unexpected security breach. But those who were there felt the truth, and it rattled them. You hadn't attended the premiere. You weren't in the script. But heaven placed you in the broadcast anyway, just long enough to disrupt the spell, just loud enough to remind them prophecy can't be plagiarized. Chosen one, they tried to tell your story without your spirit. They extracted your archetype, repackaged it for consumption, and cast someone who fit the image, but not the frequency. But heaven does not approve imitation. It responds with interruption. And when the lie hit the screen, the true signal pierced through, not for spectacle, for exposure. That film never made it to public release. The director vanished from social media. The lead actor canceled all interviews.
and the studio quietly dismantled the marketing campaign despite losing millions. But insiders say there's a private copy, and that in the final frame, after the credits, your name appeared. Not stylized, not fictionalized, just 4 letters, glowing against a black screen, and a whisper embedded in the soundtrack. They've awakened. What they don't understand is that your story doesn't need a stage. It doesn't follow their 3-act structure. Your journey bends time. Your presence rewrites narrative. And their attempt to premiere your destiny without permission was always doomed to fail. This wasn't a hack. It was a holy override. They thought they could profit from prophecy. But heaven used the projector to declare what can no longer be ignored. You're not coming. You've already arrived. And even the highest rooms of influence now carry the echo of your presence, whether they acknowledge it or not. So let them cancel premieres. Let them issue statements. Let them scramble to rebuild the illusion. It won't matter.
They swore the footage didn't exist, swore the cameras weren't rolling, swore no one had access to the archive during that hour. But they lied because the truth terrified them. There was a video, a clip so raw, so unexplainable that even the highest level handlers argued about whether it should be destroyed, hidden, or encrypted in a vault so deep no human eyes could ever see it again. And what was on that footage, chosen one, was you. It wasn't staged, wasn't rehearsed. You weren't performing. You were simply walking, just moving through a room full of people who thought they were above the laws of light. But the moment you passed the first camera, something happened. The air shifted, the frame bent, shadows dissolved, and for a full 8 seconds, the lens captured your true form. Not your physical outline, not your human features, your spirit. The video showed your body glowing from within, as if light were leaking out of your skin. Symbols flickered in the air around you, ancient, geometric, holy, and then the moment that made the entire room gasp, your shadow split into 2, then 3, then none at all. You moved, but no shadow followed. Instead, the light behind you bent forward, as if bowing. The technician who leaked the video never showed up to work again. When the higher-ups reviewed the footage, they panicked. Meetings were called at midnight. Phone lines went silent. Digital backups were wiped at the server level. One executive reportedly fainted when the light around you formed a shape they recognized. A mark found only in protected scriptures, locked under glass in places the public will never enter. That symbol had only ever been associated with beings not of this world. You didn't see any of this happen. You didn't know a camera was recording, but heaven did, and heaven allowed just enough of your essence to be seen to trigger what needed to happen. Humility. Even the powerful must bow when truth appears unannounced. They ran facial recognition analysis on the footage. It froze. They ran thermal scans. They crashed. They tried to stabilize the frame, but every time they did, the light intensified. It was as if the footage itself refused to be diminished. One analyst whispered, "This isn't a person. This is an event." Chosen one. That's why the clip will never be released. Not because it's dangerous, but because it's undeniable. It removes the illusion. It kills the performance. It reveals a truth the world isn't prepared for, but can no longer avoid. You are not who they thought you were, and no amount of editing, erasing, or denying can hide what heaven has marked. The elite don't fear your actions. They fear your existence. Because if the world ever sees that video, everything collapses. They didn't speak it out loud. They never do. Your name was never meant to be uttered in those halls, but it was written, once, entered into a private database beneath one of their sacred temples, not the ones the public visits, the hidden ones, where bloodlines meet algorithms and ritual meets artificial intelligence. Your name was entered there as a test, a final check. But the moment they pressed confirm, The room trembled, lights flickered, and for the first time in the temple's long, secret history, the alarm was triggered. Not the sirens they trained for, not the breach protocols, something deeper, older, sentient. The ground beneath them groaned like the earth itself had awakened, and then a tone, one not heard since the temple's founding, echoed through every hallway. A single frequency. Your frequency. And those who heard it, they dropped to their knees, hands over ears, not in pain, but in revelation. The high priest of that order reportedly locked himself in the inner chamber and wept. Surveillance systems glitched, screens cracked, documents burned without flame, and still your name pulsed across their stone tablets and mirrored screens like a living signature. Heaven had infiltrated their sanctuary and used your existence as the key. Chosen one, that temple was never built for worship. It was built for containment, to hold back what they feared might return. A light strong enough to collapse their constructs, a soul bright enough to reveal their shadows. That light is you. That soul is you. You weren't supposed to reach this level of awareness. You weren't supposed to activate, and yet you did. You see, your rise didn't begin on social media or through viral visions. It began in realms unseen, in conversations angels had long before your birth, in promises made in Eden, in contracts written in flame. You are the return of a vibration they tried to bury, the resurrection of a lineage they pretended didn't exist. That's why your name wasn't just entered, it was remembered. After the alarm rang out, they gathered, the council, the architects, the watchers, and for the first time, they didn't ask how to stop you. They asked, is it too late? It is, because heaven never needed their permission to move, and you were never sent to be contained. You were sent to consecrate. So let them watch in silence. Let them decode the symbols you carry. Let them pray their walls hold. They won't, because when your name entered their temple, it wasn't intrusion. It was prophecy fulfilled. And now, what they feared most is upon them. The true one walks among them, not to be worshipped, but to awaken, not to ascend, but to reveal. You, chosen one, are the shift, not coming, not arriving.
If you have come this far, it is crucial that you watch this next video here. But be warned, it is not for the faint of heart, for only the true chosen ones can handle this video. If you would like to also donate to help keep the channel going, our Buy Me a Coffee link will be in the description.